Okay, in keeping with the video I just showed and discussion of data, I'm going to create a piece that happened by accident, and just looking for my pencil here. I'm calling this a composition generator. Okay, I've been using Sharpie this week. I'm going to switch to pencil because I'm noticing that black line. Some people are struggling to cross the black line. And so I'm going to go lighter with pencil, and I'm just using, I don't know what that is, 9 by 12 or something sheet of drawing paper. And so this is my warm up. I can just do this random line. The only rule is I don't get to lift my pencil from the page. Okay, that looks about, it's filled, okay? Then I'm gonna fold my paper in half, and then again in quarters. Then I'm gonna do the same lengthwise. I'm creating a grid. Now, we have done this before, where then I cut all these shapes out and then reshuffle. I'm going to give you some other choices too. So let's see. Another thing you can do before ripping is you can fold and then just randomly see, does anything line up and make a new and interesting composition that way? That way, I mean, there's endless variations here, which is why I'm calling it a composition generator. If you see something you like, you could take a photo of it, or I could say, oh, that I want to do this horizontal thing, or I want to do this sort of totemic looking thing. And I could cut that out and glue it onto, here's the one I did yesterday, a sheet of bristle paper. There's a rip right there. And then I lined up my pieces, and then I would paint this in. Now, as I did this yesterday, I went, that looks a little overwhelming to me. And so then I thought, okay, instead of doing that, I am going to rip this apart. You can cut, but I actually like that torn, jagged, torn edge look. You want it to tear better, crease it more. Some people wet the back a little bit of water. Yeah, that works really well. Or if you don't have water, you know, a little bit of spit, right? Okay. So then you're going to get all of these pieces, almost like playing cards. And it's random. Some of them you're immediately going to say, ooh, I like that. Others not so much. Like this one, super simple. That's very interesting to me. So there are these mini compositions, okay? You can also shuffle them around and do a little recombine. Make new compositions. And then if you like that, glue it to a sheet of Bristol, and there would be a composition to work on. Okay. So what we're trying, this is a bit of a warm up, and it's also not putting all your eggs in one basket. We're going to generate some new ideas here. And I like to line, you know, form connections with the lines there where I can. Like if I wanted this to be a whole shape, I'd move these pieces around. There's a shape. Okay, so I think you get the idea with that. going to show you, I have some prepared from yesterday. So I've got all these little cards to play with. Now, what I did yesterday was then I had these brown, I don't know what, these brown sheets of paper that I got, 3.5 by, I think it's 5 or something. It could really be any size you want. You could even get index cards. And here, I'll just do one here. Okay, so here's one. I can paste it. Here's what it looks like on an index card. And it doesn't have to be perfectly in the center. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. I could tweak it to the side. So just quickly making a stack of these. There's one on white. Okay, so I've got those. I'm going to do 2 on white, and then I'll show you some of the ones I got from yesterday. And then I'm going to paint these in. So here's the ones I got yesterday that I like. This is with Sharpie. Super simple, but there's things going on in there that I find interesting. These are a little bit landscapey. This is somehow figurative to me. This one makes me laugh. It's like a little boulder rolling down a hill. Okay, so I have all of these. Basically what I have is mini compositions that then I'm going to come in with paint right now. This is the part I didn't do yesterday, and I'm going to do different techniques, filling these in, probably using the same color palette. So it's a series, okay? And then hopefully I'd get at least 1 or 2 that I liked. And then let's say I wanted to go larger, then I could take 1 or 2 of those to a larger canvas. So the colors I'm using are this light phthalo green, a light phthalo blue, a yellow ochre, and I had a sienna color that I dropped somewhere on the floor. I wanted the sienna as a contrast. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, I feel like this is a high flow sepia. It's a sepia. Okay. I have the urge to do some splattering, and part of that is I want to break out the confines of that frame. I want some of the paint to go onto the brown paper. So I'm going to get my toothbrush. And just do some splatters. Kind of break things up from the get-go. So I'm working in the round too. I'm not getting fixated on one composition, which as we know is really easy to do. Okay, a little bit more on the white. So I'll have something to compare it to, the white paper versus the brown paper. You could also use colored paper. There's that one too. Okay, got my fingers in there, couldn't help it. Okay, so there's my splatters. Now I'm going to work in the round with some of these colors. And I want to use brush and palette knife. So the palette knife, the angled one, is great because I can apply paint either thickly and I'm covering a line, or if I scrape, I'm going to still have the line, but I'll have transparency, right? So got transparency, but then I can put some of this paint on more impasto so I don't see the background. And I'm making quick decisions here. Sometimes I use the same color and apply it to all of the pieces and then go to the next color. It's the most efficient and it just keeps me in the flow. Okay. Oops. Okay, on this one, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to put any paint here. I'm going to paint in that border. See what happens that way. Okay, now I'm going to go on to another color. I'm going to go on to this other light phthalo blue here. So this is dry brush. I didn't add any water to this, so I'm kind of practicing scrubby technique on that one. This one I am adding a little water to. So I'm playing with transparency, thicker paint.
Laura, what was the first color? They look the same on the screen.
One is light phthalo blue and one is light phthalo green.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
So then again, quick decisions. Am I staying inside the frame, outside the frame? It's trial and error, right? And you have to keep in mind, look, they're just doodles, right? It's amazing how quickly we get attached to these compositions. Like this one I'm kind of attached to. Maybe I shouldn't have put color around here. But guess what? If I really like that composition, I can recreate that. It's just really simple lines, right? Again, beginning with limitations. I'm not using every single color in the world. Towards the end, I can add in some more colors if I want. So if you hear that voice in your head, like I was going to put the blue here and then something told me, no, put a strip right there. And then I just do it. Try not to overthink it. Okay, thick, globby, yummy paint. Glob that on. Okay. I feel like I've dropped one of mine here. So many of them. Okay, I'm gonna not do them all right now. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to add in some yellow ochre. I've added water to this, so I still have that transparency. I wanted some of those splatters showing. I'm using a dry brush to pull out some of the paint there. Okay, and already I'm feeling like I need another color. That's already happening in my mind, but I'm going to hold off, and you can probably guess what the color is. It's red. So I can put paint on top of another color, and I'm doing sgraffito here. Okay, then sometimes I like to go back to the color I started with, bring that back up to the top surface. I could do more splattering with that. I could do, got my fan brush, maybe add in some texture. I could add some water to that high flow, which is really saturated paint, and I could get a transparency going on. So again, working in the round, very quick decisions. And then at the end, you look at them, and there's going to be certain ones that it's just going to pop out. It's going to be, that's the one I like. Or I like those, but I want to add a little bit more. So like this one, I forgot the yellow ochre. So now I'm going to come back. Like the white there. Okay, and I don't have in front of me, what I really want is a red China marker. I don't have it. I've got a red Sharpie. So I'll just pop some red in there to see if that does anything that I like. So you can see that just that little bit of red adding something. And again, if I don't like it, just paint over it, right? No big deal. Like, I'm not so wild about that one, but whatever. So yeah, I can go over something. If I don't like it, I can scrape back and have some of it showing through. I can keep playing with that. Think of this as excavation. Putting a little decorative pattern in there. So I'm hoping doing these small random studies from your line drawing is going to help you get into more of a creative flow state. Okay, so here's something I like. If you've done sgraffito and it's dry, I can scrape. Once it's dry, look, I can scrape a color on top, and that color is going to go into those grooves that I scraped. Which is why I want the angled palette knife. Okay, so here we go. So it's scraped into these grooves of the underpainting. The ochre's there. It's a little more subtle. Sisyphus's rock is getting ready to roll down the hill. And there's definitely more I could do, but I think you get the general idea. Okay, and I've got all these little studies now.